Six Sages Gaming is brought to you by GamersGauntlet.net. Check them out for all your singles, sealed product, and playmats.
Hey guys, welcome to another Six Sages Gaming deck spotlight. Today we have another Final Fantasy trading card game deck for you, and it's the Fire Earth Final Fantasy 7 Cloud Spam deck. And I've really been, I'm not normally a fire player or an aggro-y kind of player, but this is kind of a deck I threw together with the idea that Gadot is just insane for being able to put a card in for free, and turns out Light Card is just one of the best cards in the set, and considering Jessie can tutor for him, that makes him absolutely insane. So if you're looking for a deck that has quite a few bit of the cards out of these starter decks for it, and now again, I wouldn't call this budget friendly, but it does get into some of the best options for the deck. Light Cloud really puts a strong boost on this deck and its overall power level. So first we're going to talk about all the forwards, then we're going to talk about the summons, and then we're going to wrap it up about the backups and tell you why this deck is just so amazing at what it does. So we're going to start with the forwards, and of course, again, you can always find these you can find a list of all the cards in the descriptions. First, we're going to start with Cloud. If you control another Final Fantasy 7 forward, other than Cloud, he gains plus 2,000 power, so he's a 2-drop 7k, which is just a very good spot to be in for a 2-drop. It's very aggressive, and then when he comes into play, you get to deal 2,000 damage to something. So if you combo off with like attacking with Tifa and they think they can block freely, you can kind of finish something off for that last little bit of 2k damage. Up next we have Tifa's. She's just a 2-drop haste, but 4k power. This card has just been absolutely great. Whenever you're playing this deck, you always want to go first. You always want to find this turn 1, and you always want to get in that early point of damage. The aggressive decks definitely have this going for it as one of the best options for your turn 1 play. Just because if you're going first, or sometimes even if you're going second, your opponent's not going to lead with a forward because they just want to use their backups and they don't mind taking an early point of damage. Tifa can kind of sneak in that point and really help push their life totals. Even more 2-drops, we play Gadot. So when he enters the field, you get to play 1 fire forward, cost 2 or less from your hand, and put it directly into play. So this is, again, great with things like Tifa, so you only have to waste 1 card paying Gadot, and then you get a Tifa for free. And then when he comes in the battlefield, all your other forwards gain plus 1,000 power. Now the second part hasn't been totally relevant, but it does help kind of push through a little bit extra power when you really need to, or it really helps out in party attacking, where you're then giving plus 2,000 power to the party. And kind of the other 2-drop that has really stolen the show has been Warrior of Light. This card's a 5,000 power, don't mind that kind of miscut proxy on top. And whenever he deals damage to a forward of cost 4 or more, you double that damage. So most of the times you'll have your forward that, like Light Cloud, that might be an 8k, or most of the 4-cost forwards are 8ks. So your Warrior of Light can now freely trade with their 4-drop that they spent a lot more resources on putting out in the field. So that's absolutely a great card to be playing in the more aggressive decks. Moving on to our 3-drops, we have 2 Cecil. I really like this card. It's a 3-drop 7k, which was okay. But what really is great is that it has the ping effect to whenever you deal damage, you get to deal 5,000 to something. So then if you have Ifrit or if you have Brynhildr, it's really a great way to kind of surprise kill something and get that little bit extra damage that you need to finish off another guy. And it can also prevent them from attacking with one of their other units, because if you have another blocker up, or maybe you just have Cecil, you could potentially trade Cecil with one of their other guys after that's been dealt that 500 points of damage. So it's a card that I'm playing around with right now, and I just kind of like to include him. Up next is Delita. So at a 9k 3-drop, that's just absolutely insane stats. But what's really great is what you'd think was the drawback, but then turns out to be really great, is that when he comes into play, you have to break a character. Now, a character can be a forward or a backup. So keeping in mind, remember, Gadot puts something into play for free. So if we play something like a Tifa off a Gadot, and then later on we realize that Tifa is not going to be able to do enough or not swing enough for enough damage, Delita can come in, break that card, and then we suddenly have a undercosted 9k that can really be aggressive when he needs to. Again, 9k is a lot of power to try to overcome. So overall, I've really been happy with this card. Another thing it allows you to do, it allows you to break your own Jessies, which we'll talk about in a bit. to play more backups and search for more light clouds. And then the other 3-drop we play is Lan. Now this is one of the things that's different from our duel series for this week. So we did update this list a little bit. This has just been overall a better card in testing. I forget which one it was exactly that we removed, but anytime that you can kind of put an unblockable condition onto a card, especially late game when your opponent is kind of forced to play certain cards just so they don't die, he can get in for those last couple points of damage that you need. 4-drop Tifa, you'll see that we're playing Zankan, her trainer, and again, playing 2-drop Tifa helps out quite a bit. Her water kick effect is really great for removing blockers and helping you get in those couple extra points of damage. Now the 600 or 6,000 damage effect hasn't been super relevant, but it has killed enough things that makes it a topic to discuss. Sorry about that, I'm just dropping a bunch of stuff off camera because it is super late and I am tired. Up next we have the 4-drop Cloud. And again, I absolutely just think that this is one of the best cards in the set, and also kind of why you're playing this deck. So he's a 4-costed 8K, so he doesn't get killed by Alexander. And he has Brave, which is just great because he can attack and then dull and use one of his effects in combat. But he really is just a great utility. You know, his Meteor Rain can help kill Zidanes or other guys that can't be targeted. Then he has Omni Slash, which is the other one which you get to choose a forward and break it. And that is just such a strong ability to have on a card. So normally we would say don't run more than like 1 or 2 light characters in a deck. But just because of how strong Cloud is and because he has that special effect, we absolutely think that it's worth running multiple copies of it because you just always want to see it and it's not even a bad turn 1 play. Moving on to the summons, we have 2 Ifrits. This is kind of a card that's just in a bit of an odd spot right now. It's really going to depend a lot on the meta. Again, it only deals 4,000, it doesn't deal 5,000, so that's something to consider. So we did cut that back to 2 in favor of another spell. Another spell for the 3-drop Brynhildr. Again, this one has just been absolutely amazing in testing. It's an EX, it deals 7k damage, it costs 3. It's just overall an absolute staple for all red decks, be them the aggro decks or the more big red kind of decks. And this card has just really been doing solid for us. And this is just going to be a 3 of in pretty much every red deck going forward for as long as we can tell. And then the card that we bumped up from 2 to 3, again, I'm just going to call it Bike. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at saying its name. It kills Minwoo. It kills Lulu. It kills so many other backups that you just have to care about and you have to respect. It kills Aerith, so you can actually target their guys and not have to worry about it. So we believe that backup destruction is going to be extremely important. Again, keeping in mind that this is all based on your local metas. So since we don't really have a tournament system yet, it's going to just depend on what your play group is playing with. So if they're playing like Minwoo and they're playing Aerith and they're playing red mages, then absolutely this card is just something that needs to be played. And again, I can't stress how important backup destruction is. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about some of the backups. So 2-drop Black Mage, you can deal pay 1, dull and break it, deal 4,000 damage or something. Again, this deck really revolves around being able to, play cheap, effective guys and then finish them off with burn. So this deck is inherently weak to Minwoo-based decks, but again, that's why we play 3 of the bikes to try to remove those cards. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. But against your other forward-based or creature-based decks, Black Mage is just a great card because sometimes they'll forget about it or they won't do the combat math right. And you can really kind of surprise kill one of your opponent's forwards, and it's just a nice option to have. Hands down, one of the best aggressive backups in the game is Red Mage. Pay 1 red, 1 of anything and dull it. Choose 1 forward, and it can't block this turn. So again, keeping in mind some of the other things that we have, you can always just set up a board state where their best guy that could be on defense can't block you, like say Squall. So if you're going up against a Squall deck, you need to find a Red Mage as soon as possible and then you can just avoid getting 2-for-1 by Squall's block effect. So Red Mage is definitely an MVP for this deck. Another card that we changed was Monk. Again, it's very important that it's a 2-drop backup, so you can play it on turn 1 without having to worry about it. And it helps, you do have to break it, but it does help with the, what I'm just going to call min-woo math from now on. Being able to give something that little bit extra boost of power that it needs to push through that defense cap really helps with the aggressive strategy of your deck. So it's just almost necessary at this point to have some more battle tricks like that, and Golem is certainly another card you can consider. Any deck that's playing Light Cloud, it's just automatically assumed that they're going to be playing Jessie. Being able to tutor up Light Cloud, since we finally got that ruling taken care of, is just incredibly strong. So if you don't have Light Cloud already, you get to search up for a Light Cloud and put it into play. Or if you have the option, if you have a Light Cloud in play already, you can just tutor up the vanilla 2-drop, or not vanilla, but the basic 2-drop Cloud that's not of any use at that point, and then pitch him to the Light Cloud effect. So again, just very, very strong utility. And like I said earlier, this is a card that we can play the course of our game, play Delita, break the backup, then play another Jessie and tutor for another Light Cloud, or just another Cloud in general. Now again, it does search for Final Fantasy VII forwards, but 99 times out of 100 you want to search for Light Cloud. Up next we have Zankan. This is kind of just, it's nice that it's an EX, so you can kind of get some surprise attackers out of nowhere for your next turn. But giving your 8k 4-drop Tifa haste is also just very, very good. And again, anytime you can tutor for a forward, especially if they have a special like the 4-drop Tifa does, being able to do multiple water kicks in a game can helpfully push the game in your favor. Then to finish out the high-end curve, just a 2 of Mustadio. 3 would be nice, but the 5 cost is just way too heavy for this deck. Honestly, it might need to be cut to a 1 of and playing like another Monk or something, but the effect is just too good to not play 2 of, I feel. But I don't know, I'm really torn on this one if it needs to be another Monk, or if we can just really get away with playing 2 of these for how good it is. So when it comes into play with EX ability, you get to break one of their dulled forwards. And then last but not least, we have Cosmos. So I hope you guys liked this video. This is definitely a look at the Earth Fire. And again, you can find the list in the description. I'll type that up for you so you can get a quick list. But I wanted to talk about all the different key cards and get your feedback on some of the changes that you would make. Again, I'm not really a red mage, if you will, or aggressive player, so I might not have the best deck build, but let me know in the comments below what kind of cards that you guys were using. And definitely let me know if I missed any key aggressive Earth-based forwards in the game, because that's Fire is kind of the giving of easy picks, but Earth needs to, I think Earth still needs like 1 or 2 more good cards to have the aggressive focus. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you on the next 6 Sages Gaming Deck Spotlight. Have a good one.